All right, everybody, welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle. Pull up a chair, you're all welcome here. Roll up. Tony's going to roll up and roll in. What is it? The Thursday night forum. Yes, we're back on a Thursday night, Stan. How are you doing? You that
Yeah, not
Phil
so bad.
Collins.
Not so bad. Had a bit of a cold for 5 or 6 days, but getting over it now. Thank you.
Good. Tis the season, unfortunately, right?
Yeah, it's that time of year, man.
Going around. BX Gunner, cue that Phil Collins. I can feel it calling in the air tonight. Okay. Whatever you're feeling. Um, Me, it's the number seven, right? It's not Sesame Street, Stan, but I feel like the number seven is significant. Arsenal have won the 7 games in European football in the Champions League this season. Top of
Yeah.
the table on 21 points and 7 points clear of our nearest challengers, whoever that may be. Who's going to come out of the pack? Will it be Man City with a renewed effort, or will it be Aston Villa? Uh, that will pick up the reins of the chasers. We've got to enjoy it, though, right? How are we feeling? I know, Stan. Let's just revisit your feeling sort of around Christmas time. Was this squad is one of the best squads that we've had for quite some time. Feeling confident. A month later, I dare say you're still feeling the similar way.
Yeah, I'm still feeling very optimistic. I mean, we just done. If you look back at our game in the Champions League this week, we made what 7 changes.
Yeah,
We rotated,
yeah,
7 players, and I can't remember the last time where we were able to do that and still look convincing.
very convincing.
So it's a very good sign. I think we're in a very good place, and you know, I'm already seeing in the media. It's already starting now, where I'm starting to see people in the media saying, "Oh, what a boring Premier League it is this season." So this is all gearing. This is all gearing up for you know if we should if we should come out winners at the end of the season.
Yeah,
It's going to be played down as well. You only won because the other teams were having problems or falling away. But we don't have any power over that. We don't have any power about
yeah,
over what other teams do. We don't have any power over other teams' injuries, who they did buy, who they didn't buy. We only have power over what we've done, you know? And I get it. I mean, last season when Liverpool won, I did say that I felt that they were lucky. But for me, it wasn't so much about the season being boring last season. It was more about there were so many times when I watched Liverpool last season that it got to the end of the game and I'd be like, how did they get away with 3 points? How did they manage to come away with 3 points when they played terribly? So I can see what the narrative is already going to be for Arsenal if we win. We only won because the league was poor, and I don't really care about that if that's what their opinions are,
yeah.
because we don't, as I say, we only have control over our own destiny.
Yeah, the Premier League is your bread and butter, and we've been told this for as long as we've been watching football. We've been told this. Then the Premier League and the Football League and Division One, whatever it was way back in the day, was your bread and butter, and that's where you are tested, tried and tested, week in, week out, home and away. And I think there's a case to say that the Premier League, the teams in the bottom half of the table are the most complete teams now, the most competitive games that you'll find, especially away from home. Going to places like Selhurst Park or Wolverhampton Wanderers or wherever it may be, West Ham, they can all give you a good game. And another barometer as to how Arsenal is doing this season, we're top of the Champions League table as well. So the two tables do not lie. They show us clearly in number one spot in both positions. Add to that, and we'll talk about the 4 games that we just got through as well. Add to that the cup competitions where we have one foot in a final. I'd say maybe a couple of toes in the final. because you never know what can happen. But we take Chelsea back to the Emirates early next month and hopefully get to the final and win it, probably against Manchester City, and as well into the fourth round of the FA Cup, which, as you know, is a competition that's near and dear to every Arsenal fan.
Yeah, before we get going, I just want to shout out to everybody that's tuning in on Thursday night who's joining us, and those of you that listen on the replay. Thanks for coming in on this Thursday night. But what I'm really impressed about as well is that we're now. I think it was a couple of seasons ago when we were in the Champions League. There were some times where I would see the team come out and they're getting they're in the lineup on the pitch and the music's playing, and there were a couple of times where you could see that we looked like some of the players, their eyes were really big. We were in these away stadiums in different places, and sometimes I felt that the occasion may have gotten to us a little bit, but I think we're past that now. I mean, we're able to go away to a place like the San Siro, and this is a team in Milan that's, currently they're the top of their league. They reached the Champions League final. They reached, oh, this cat. Every time I sit in this chair, this cat wants to get involved.
Yeah,
Every
the
time
tail.
we go away to these stadiums now, we do very well. And as I say, they're a team that's won the Champions League. No, sorry, they were in the final of the Champions League last season. So they're no slouch.
Nope. No, they're no slouches, and I think they got to the final against City.
They can as well, right? They're putting out the best teams that they can field. They're not putting out a team of B players. So I don't think that should be taken away from us. You know why she's on the table, right? Because I've got a bowl of these snacks. A bowl of these crisp things, and she wants to nibble at them. So
nice. Like the pork rinds, is it?
Yeah, pork rinds.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I forget what they're called in Spanish. Chicharitos or something like that. Chicharitos. Yes, exactly. Steven said it won't be Villa who comes out of the pack there in PSR trouble. I have no room to spend money to increase their depth as injuries pile up. Get through a couple of other comments here. We can only play what's in front of us. Not our fault about the state of the league, and that's it. You win the league because you're the best team in that season. You've accrued the most wins and mostly the least amount of losses and the most amount of points. The league isn't poor. The league has just gotten better, so no one runs away. It's harder to win now than ever. Hope BX, hey BX, hope you're good and enjoyed the Champions League entry game. And what will be the excuse if we manage? What will be the excuse if we manage to win the Euro? Yeah, if we managed to win that Champions League, Stan. I don't care whatever the excuses will be. We just want to be, as you know, we want to have a seat at the table as being a Champions League winner.
Yeah. So, what was the last game that we spoke about then? Since we last convened, I think it was
the Chelsea game.
The Chelsea game, and what have we played since then?
We had the weekend. We can go in
the 0-0 with Forest, right?
Yeah, we can go into the weekend there, and we played Nottingham Forest. But first, we have to talk about the slip up from Man City and the slip up from Aston Villa. I guess you know what I mean. We're going to be playing this Manchester United team on Sunday at the Emirates. It's a home game, and it's always seems to land around my birthday, so I hope I get that birthday 3-point bump from Manchester United win on Sunday. But they did put in a performance. They did put in a shift against Pep Guardiola's City last Saturday.
And how many times have we lost at home this season?
0.
Exactly. So it's in a it's a good. We're in a good place.
Yes.
They've changed their manager, which comes with a new manager bounce, new tactics, different selection, a different selection of players as well. Sometimes the manager that's coming in might fancy someone else. But I'm still very confident that we can get something out of that game. You know, as we just said, we haven't lost a game at home all season. That's not to be sniffed at.
No, indeed. Yeah, I think we can have quite a good game with Manchester United on Sunday. City falling at Old Trafford was a little. I mean, here's the thing: we had said, Stan, throughout the season that we had played a lot of difficult games away from home. We've gone to Old Trafford, we've gone to Newcastle, we've gone to Liverpool, we've gone to Chelsea, and yes, they've been mixed results, a mixed bag, as you would say. But we've gotten those fixtures out of the road and out of the way. Manchester City had to go to Old Trafford, and they stumbled. They lost against this Manchester United team.
Well, yeah, and one of the things that we've actually discovered this season is that Erling Haaland is actually human. He's not a robot.
Yeah,
He's not a cyborg. You
yeah,
know, and
yeah,
and I mean, I was thinking the other day, right? If there's a graph, maybe the graph coming up this way is you've got Erling Haaland scoring and then coming down, and maybe the other way you've got Gyökeres not scoring and now he's scoring, and maybe there's a crossing that's happening now at the right time. It seems like Gyökeres is being able to be a little bit more, to make more of a contribution. So I've got my fingers crossed that continues.
hmm
It
yeah,
continues into the next fixtures. But again, if it's like, well, the only reason Arsenal are doing so well is because Haaland has stopped scoring for whatever reason. Well, that's their problem. It's not
yeah,
our problem.
yeah.
And it's
That's what's happening.
and again, it kind of shows you that if you do just rely on one goal scorer, if most of your goals are coming from one area or one route or one player, you know, what happens if that player does go through a bad patch or does get taken out because of injuries?
100%.
Whereas at Arsenal, yeah, we don't have a nailed on prolific scorer, but the goals, the way that we play, the goals come from all over the pitch.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
We've
that's
been
to
saying
our
this.
that's to our advantage as well.
Yeah,
That's to
we
our advantage.
we've been saying this all season, and you rely. For me, I think they're a good team. Manchester City are a good team, but they have a couple of world class players, and I would put Donnarumma as a world class goalkeeper, and I would put obviously Erling Haaland as a world class striker. But if neither one of them are keeping goals out or putting goals in, then it's going to be a difficult day for Man City. Steven said the Emirates has become a fortress. Yeah, we have. It's been a very, very difficult place to go for teams to come and pick up any kind of points at all. Um,
And they're not just stumbling, Man City. I mean, that game against Bodo Glimt, which I saw quite a bit of that game. I mean, they're losing games convincingly, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Do you know what I'm getting at? They're
you want
not
to be
like
winning them convincingly, not losing them convincingly.
they're not. It's not like narrow squeaks. They're getting battered a little bit
Yeah,
lately, and I think that there's a rumor going around that I was listening to um, on another podcast with a podcaster who was saying that he had good information and had ITKs or whatever. But basically, the narrative is that Pep Guardiola, not only will he may leave at the end of this season, apparently he may leave before the end of the season, much in the same fashion that Jurgen Klopp did. Right, Jurgen Klopp didn't wait to get to the end of the season. So
yeah, yeah.
if there's that kind of talk going on, that's got to be going through the club as well.
There's quite a few.
And
There's been quite.
that's got to be going running through the club. The players are hearing this kind of stuff. So great. It's up to us to be able to take advantage during these times.
Yeah. There's
You
quite a
know,
lot of uncertainty at Liverpool, uncertainty maybe coming at Man City, and a lot of managers that are looking for a job now. There's been a few. Maresca has left Chelsea. We've got Lee Rosenior there. So there's a lot of change going on in the Premier League. Amram's left. We have a caretaker.
Philip Glasner doesn't look like he's going to be around for much longer.
Doesn't look very happy. Yeah.
You know, and it seems to be now that if you're a football manager and you're not enjoying your job, you just got to sit in front of the press and bitch and complain because you'll get fired, but you walk away with a couple of suitcases full of cash.
True.
You know, it's not really, you know, your wife. You're not going to come home and go to the missus, "I got sacked," and she's going to go, "Well, how are we going to pay the mortgage?" You got to go.
What are we
You got
going
to
to do
go back there.
now?
You go back there and try and sort it out. You're like, well, listen.
Yeah.
The
You better
job's done,
go.
and I've
Go
got
and
some
make
months.
up.
I've got,
Yeah.
the job's done. I've got the sacked, but we've got a month in the Bahamas now, and we're staying at a top 5-star all-inclusive, and we're flying
He's
first class.
like, I got the bags packed. Let's go.
Happy days.
Yeah, indeed. BX said Inter had to win that game to pick up points. They were up for that game. Yeah, they were on the bubble.
Had to
They were
win.
like,
They're in jeopardy. They're in jeopardy to you know.
were they seventh or eighth? Like on the bubble for seventh, eighth, or in jeopardy further down? I think it was.
I can't remember, but I do know that I think that their next Champions League game is quite important for them to continue in. Right? You know, there's a chance that they may not make it through to the next round.
Yeah. We seem very well prepared, BX said this year, that injuries to the defense and attack won't derail us. And look, let's just take a moment to look back at 12 months ago, Stan. And, you know, I, I kind of lost the will to do these podcasts because of what happened last January when we didn't do anything, you know? And we just sort of like freewheeled toward the end of the season, right?
Well, just think about how long this podcast has been going, right? How many trophies have we lifted since this podcast has been going? One?
I mean, one FA Cup, and
Yeah.
If you count Charity Shields, a couple of those. But our rivals won't let us count them, you know. But yeah, it's been some lean years, with success. It's been having a successful and good team, but a little bit of a few lean years. Because you know what, we have tried to uh, wet our whistle with Man City and Liverpool, you know.
Yeah.
And I think now we're, as we've prefaced, you know, things over at Liverpool are not looking great, albeit they've stabilized a little bit. Will Arnie Slot keep his? Somebody, Tony Turner has just joined. Will Arnie Slot keep his job? And the other thing with Man City is Pep going to continue to be, you know,
Yeah. All of this disarray and
trying to turn it around.
uncertainty with other teams is good for us. And
Yeah.
and we're able to capitalize. You know, when our competition are they're playing their games before us, and then our game is like the later game or the following day, we still have a job to do, and we're
Yeah.
able to do that now.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like we're able to do that now and take care of our own business. I mean,
Yeah.
there's still a way to go. So you know, there's still a way to go, but so far. I mean, as an Arsenal fan, surely you've got to be satisfied of where the team is in the scheme of things at the moment. You've got to be satisfied.
Got to be. The team. We'll bring Tony in a second. Welcome, Tony.
Right,
Here we are. Here we are in late January right now. I'm about to receive my birthday win with Manchester United, Arsenal. It's a mandatory 3 points. I demand it. And we're fighting on 4 fronts, having just played 4 games away from home across 4 different competitions. You know, so hey, if you can't enjoy life right now as an Arsenal fan, I don't think, other than, you know, if you want to wait till May, or, you know, hopefully a Carabao Cup final, we're lifting some silverware. I'd rather enjoy all some parts of the journey as well. Now that we're feeling a little bit more confident, let's not hide under a rock until May and see
enjoy the ride.
enjoy the ride. Indeed, you know. Don't waste the
When
trip.
you're on a when you're on a roller coaster, you don't cheer at the end bit when it stops. You're doing all of that during the loops and the ups and the downs and everything, right? You know,
Yeah,
it's the whole thing.
Tony doesn't like my roller coaster analogy for his season. You're gonna have your peaks and your dips and your troughs and
That's only because Tony's not tall enough to ride roller coasters. He doesn't. You don't have that thing. You have to stand next to it. He doesn't quite make the thing right. It's not allowed on. He has to get a booster seat.
Tony. How
I
are you
can balance
doing,
on one
Tony?
leg.
How are you,
Yeah,
Tony?
so.
Good, good. We'll take that. So is you're doing spiffy, right? We got so from you without any medical annotations or decided medical clauses decided, then we're good. Tony, how have you enjoyed the last four games from Arsenal? It's been Portsmouth, 4-1 win at Portsmouth in the FA Cup. It's been a 3-2 win away to Chelsea in the Carabao Cup semi-final, um, and 0-0 with Forest. When the whole weekend is shaken out, we're a point better off from City and Villa. And this latest one, we wanted this, Tony. We wanted a Champions League run. And now we're talking Champions League, Tony.
Yeah, I'll start in reverse there, right?
Sure.
Because where we are now, all the knockout Champions League games happen to be at home. And do you know what also is after those games? Home Premier League games.
Home Premier League game. So, you know, the rival fans will be like, who is manipulating these fixtures to seemingly help Arsenal on four fronts? You know what I mean? That can't be any better than what it sounds like.
Can I just
Go
say,
to
right? If anyone is manipulating anything in our favour, I'll
yeah,
still take it because there've been seasons after a row where it felt like that everything was being manipulated against us,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So if the wheel has turned into our favour, I'm taking it.
yeah.
I'll take it.
As
Thank you very
Tony,
much.
as Tony has said, Champions League games will be playing the first game in the knockout stage at home, which is always tends to be an advantage, right? And then coming back from away games, right? Tony, is that what we're saying? We're gonna have home Premier League games,
I think it's home, and home.
home and home, right? That's not bad. Um,
We
yeah, we'll take
don't
that
have to,
all day long.
no travel.
Anything else from coming out of those four games, Tony?
Uh, Disappointed before. I don't care about Chelsea. I don't care about the League Cup.
Right. So, which one were
Uh,
you disappointed about? Forest.
yeah,
Yeah, the Forest. Let's talk about that a little bit. Stan, the Forest game. Listen, off the back of Man City um, losing. You would have thought that the impetus could have been there for Arsenal to go on and win the game. We had some chances. They were not what you would call gilt edge chances. And if you remember, we had a penalty incident where, for me, the guy basically cradles the ball away from Gabriel Jesus with his arm. You know,
I don't know. It's 50-50 for me. He was kind of like bundled into the ball. I mean, he had his own player bundling into him as well. For me, it's a 50-50 shout. You
all
know,
right,
I'm not going to say it's a stone wall, yes or a no. And I just look at it like, as I've always said, I understand.
it's
I
his arm.
understand
Yeah.
that. I understand that. Huh?
But he cradles it along his elbow. It's like his biceps. You know what I mean?
I'm 50-50 on it personally. For me, I'm kind of looking at it 50-50. But as I've said, and I've said it many times on this broadcast, that I understand that going through a Premier League season, I know that my team is not going to win every single game. Every single game. Even when we were invincible, we didn't win every single game. And okay,
Yeah.
okay, we couldn't beat Nottingham Forest, but we didn't lose. We still managed to get something out of that game. And I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So, we play in a very, very strong league, and one of the reasons why people say that this league is now boring is because even some of the teams which you would say are weaker, they're still very strong teams compared to if you look at a team that's maybe in mid-table down in any of the 5 leagues. Maybe there's a big difference in the quality that they have, but in England, we can. You got teams at the bottom of the table that are looking at players like the next prodigy to come out of Brazil was this player called Ryan. I can't remember what team's looking at him. I think it might be Nottingham Forest if I'm right. But that's kind of where we are. Even teams lower down the table can have good quality players in there and can give you a game. And obviously, when Arsenal come to town, teams will change their tactics. Goalkeepers will play out of their skin, and they will raise their game to try and get something out of it. It's just the way it's the way of the world, and we're still managing to take points. And as we've just mentioned, we've got a lot of games coming at home now. We haven't lost any games so far this season at home.
Yeah.
No, we've not had any draws, we've not had any losses. So I think it's a good platform to build on. And we also now have most of our players back from injury. We're almost a full squad. There's only 1 or 2 that are still not back. Is it Calafiori? And I can't even think of it. Is there anyone else? Calafiori?
I think Mascara might be coming back. I mean, there was.
Mascara played in the last game.
And there was.
And played very well.
And there was some news today about Kai Havertz a little bit as well. Arsenal have concerns over Kai Havertz's fitness after his knee flared up in his recent return from injury.
Those guys, they rush back too much. They used to go to no contact. Then they would go to under 21s. Then they would be on the bench for us and get 30 minutes here and there. Then finally start starting.
Yeah.
But Arteta just throws these guys right back out there.
Well, Havertz is trying to get back to full fitness, and they may need to manage his minutes moving forward. Misfit here said there were some great performances, but what we consider our B team, as Stan said, something like 7 changes from the starting lineup from Nottingham Forest. Jesus with 2 goals, Gyökeres with 1. Great pass by Martinelli for the Gyökeres goal, and Saliba, Zubimendi, and Mosquera putting in great shifts. Mosquera has been, and Hincapi, they've been 2 of the safety valves for our central defenders that we rely upon so much, Saliba and Gabriel. But Stan, talk about Gabriel Jesus a little bit for the first 2 goals. In light of the news from Kai Havertz not being able to have meaningful minutes this season, Gabriel Jesus could be the actual impetus that we need in the last third of the season.
Well, it gives us a little bit more variety. It means that we don't have to depend 100% on Victor Gyökeres.
Yes.
A lot of people were saying, "Oh, he's played too many games, Gyökeres." Well, he doesn't have to play too many games now because we've still got 2. Marino's in there as well. We do have variety for that position, and that means that competition is going to be healthy. And I think that if you remember, I think it was maybe the beginning of this season or the end of last season when we were on this broadcast, and a lot of people were complaining about last season when a lot of people were complaining that they didn't feel that Martinelli was playing as good as he could for us. And I kept saying one of the reasons why he gets picked so much, though, in spite of that, is because of his off the ball work, and that he's willing to get back and help out defensively. And this is what Mikel Arteta likes. We are a team that's built from the defense up, not the
Yeah.
attack down. And I think one of the reasons why you are seeing uh, Leo Trossard getting a lot of starts now, because while Martinelli was doing that, Trossard is probably sitting on the bench and thinking to himself, why? What is it that I have to do to get into this team more? And he sat on the bench and he's watched and he's seen what Martinelli is doing, and now we're seeing Trossard do it when he starts. The penny has dropped for Trossard, and he understands about the defensive side of the game, and he's doing that, and that's enabling him to get picked. And I think that it's going to be a similar thing with Eberechi Eze. The Eberechi Eze is still learning what it is that Mikel Arteta expects from him, that he can't just come into the team and play like he did at Crystal Palace. And that's why he's on the bench quite a lot, like Trossard was. And hopefully the penny will drop for him, and he'll he'll learn, if I want to get into this team, these are the things that I need to do. And once you start doing that, it gives you more of an opportunity to get picked more regularly for the starting lineup. You can learn from the bench, as Trossard did, and now Trossard's being rewarded for it, and as it is having equal, if not more, playing time as Martinelli.
Yeah, yeah. I think there is opportunities. I know Mikel Arteta was quoted as considering starting Eberechi as a over Odegaard. I'm thankful that he did do that. That he played Eze and gave him some meaningful minutes as well. Um, but Tony, Gabriel Jesus, timely a timely time a timely time to come back to the team, Tony, for Jesus.
Yeah, that one goal was a poacher's goal. I still remember 3 years ago him coming back and he hurt the team because Arteta would pick him and he wanted too much.
Yeah,
So
does look like
I,
he's over
I,
that injury from the World Cup, right?
yeah, I mean they want to play to get into the World Cup, but I don't. I still don't think he's an out and out striker.
Yeah, but he scored. What did he do? He scored the goal in, was it a cup game that he scored that against Villa? He scored the goal against Villa, right? At the last month, he scored that goal against Aston Villa. The fourth goal, I believe it was, and with Trossard setting them up wonderfully. And now he's come on into a Champions League game. He's starting a Champions League game with in a team that has had a lot of changes. Now, a lot of people, I think, even Thierry Henry or maybe Gary Neville said this this Arsenal second team could finish in the top four just by themselves. So there's a decent amount of quality there, but for Gabriel Jesus to latch on to that Timber mishit, and I think that's the poacher's goal that you're talking about, right? Or are you
Yeah,
talking about the one that came back off the bar?
well, both of them pretty much
Yeah,
were. But
so I mean, both of them do kind of. So certain players have like this ability to sniff out where the ball is going to go and to
I,
be in
I I
position.
mean, I mean that's what happens with Mourinho. It's not like he has outstanding speed or he's weaving in or out. He just happens to be at the right spot at the right time and
Yeah, yeah,
gets
that
the
and
goal.
that is an ability. That's an ability all of itself. So Gabriel
Mm,
Jesus with those two goals. The second one, coming from a set piece, right? What have we got now?
yeah,
18 or 19 from set pieces?
yep.
19
But
goals from
but
set pieces.
but I think Kristard starts because he's able to get open balls to Ducares with Guterres has three goals in his last 5 games now.
Yeah, and listen, to be fair,
But I mean, I think Tassard's a very underrated player. You guys wanted him to start with.
hmm
And what got me was people was like, oh, he can't start. Well, 2 seasons ago, last 10 games, he gets 7 fucking goals.
yeah,
What else do you want him to do?
Trossard is the constant. He seems to be the constant part of that team that will continue to provide chances, continue to
Uh,
score some goals, and maybe not always get the plaudits that
and
is
I
merited.
like his body language. He's sitting there on the bench knowing that he can do better than what's going on out there
Yeah, that's
and be
elite.
pissed off about it,
Yeah,
wanting out there.
that is elite. 2 goals from Gabriel Jesus then, and listen, Stan and I, we've had we've had our concerns about Victor Gyökeres, and we are happy that he started to show a little bit more output and put some more goals on the board.
Well,
Um,
he was doing it before the injury. Now he's finally getting
Good. I mean, we're
back
going to
to.
need for Arsenal to pick up trophies. Victor Gyökeres has to pick up a goal or two along the way. You know.
I mean, I know I sent you that guy, the all the players that were signed. It's like Isaac at
Yeah.
150 million, and
Yeah.
Guterres is second with 9 goals. The most out of them had 10 goals. So
After
out of a
after
summer
Pico.
out of a summer strikers, he's doing fine.
Yeah.
What
So
would have been better with a I mean, having no preseason, that's a big deal because you got to get into the flow of it. The injury happened at a crappy time because I think then he had like three goals in 5 games.
yeah.
As he was doing good with him, I think as a you gotta play as a regular damn attacking midfielder. You got
Yeah.
enough defenders. Not everybody needs to defend.
No, for sure. Mikel
I
Arteta's.
disagree.
Go ahead, Stan.
I think that the reason that we've had some of our success is that we are a team that can defend from the top down. That's that's our superpower. And as I was saying about uh, Trossard and Eze, or more Eze, being able to watch from the bench and learn what he has to do. Now Gyökeres is in that situation where he doesn't have every game and have to learn what he's doing in game. Bench against Inter Milan, he sees another striker in that position make 2 meaningful contributions with 2 goals, and it's giving him opportunity to see, well, if I need to get into this team, what is it that I need to do? And the thing that I noticed the most about Gabriel Jesus before he got substituted was his movement. The pockets that he was able to get into, the way that his movement, and I think that's what Gyökeres needs to do a little bit more of. And hopefully now he's going to have the opportunity to learn from the bench and come in when needed and start some games, but it's not all just on him now. And maybe that's
Yeah.
going to help him because I have to
Yeah.
admit, when Jesus came off and I saw that Gyökeres was coming on, my initial thought was, oh, here we go, we're going to be playing with 10 men again. So for him to shut the game out by getting that third goal, I was very pleased for him.
Yeah.
And the goalkeeper got his hand to the ball, but his shot was so powerful that he couldn't keep it out. His fingers, he could not keep the ball out. So I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing more of the same, and it's going to be interesting to see who the manager decides to start against Man United. It's given him a really good headache to have because
We have a good mix between Gyökeres and Jesus, and throw in Mikel Marino there. We have a good mix of different kinds of strikers. Even if Havertz can't make it, this season, or it's going to be sporadic. I still feel comfortable with Gyökeres, Gabriel Jesus, and Nico Marino. Talk a little bit, Stan, about that pass from Martinelli to set Gyökeres on his way. Martinelli's sort of in the left back area, coming out to the line with the left back area, and hits the ball with the outside of his boot to bring the ball into Gyökeres' path just inside the halfway line.
Yeah, but I mean, again, and it kind of, I keep seeing this thing on social media about Saka being the problem, which really surprises me. This narrative about Saka having something against, Gyökeres, and they was even showing that when he scored his goal, the way that he pushed Saka, they say, look, there's a problem. But that wasn't a push as if, that wasn't, for me, that wasn't like a get away, I don't like you push. That was like a yeah. That was like, for me, that was like a yeah, kind of a,
yeah.
I believe that this team is together. I do not believe that there is a problem amongst the players.
I hadn't seen that narrative out there.
I've seen it on X, and people showing screenshots of this. Look, Saka should have passed the ball then, and he should have done this. And I'm like, come on.
I mean, these are elite footballers, but they're never going to be, robots. They're not. They're not bots, and they're not search engines, and they can't find the correct pass at the correct split second in order to create the perfect goal. It's just not.
Sarge can.
Parford Trossard, Terminator Trossard.
I always think back to that one last year that had one of the two headers that Havertz had, but it was just like right in front of him, and it's like Havertz didn't know what to do. All he had to do was just put his forehead.
I think that was when we did beat PSG earlier in the season last year in the Champions League. But we would meet them later in the knockout stages with a lot of kids on the bench when Mikel Arteta had to look back and he couldn't see any players with recognizable names to him.
Well, that's what PSG had. They had a bunch of young kids. They just developed the chemistry throughout the season.
We'll get into the European chat in just a little bit. Steven said we just didn't do enough in that Forest game. We didn't deserve to win. It was a pen. I believe it was a pen all day as well. Stan is going 50-50.
It wasn't a penalty. Those get
what?
Right? Those get played out all the time.
What's played out mean? No penalty.
Out of a back line and
yeah. Well, you're not supposed to do it with your arm. That's just my contention. Gyökeres, Jesus, and Marino are our strikers.
Still not much distance. That always plays a role. Yeah. I didn't think it was a penalty.
All right, we are split on opinions with this one. Eze needs to work on his conditioning. He looked better based after 30 minutes versus.
I really want to know the whole story of his fitness because it was like 5 games. Yeah, because it was like 5 games in, and he was saying, I need more fitness. I'm not game ready. And it's like, but you played these other preseason games or preseason trophy games, whatever you want to call them. It's like he was playing. It's like, is it just because what Arsenal does in training?
Well, you would hope not. He just needed to maybe conditioning. If this group manages to win major silverware, says BX, it will have genuinely been a collective and collaborative effort.
Agreed.
We got to look back as well to Andrea Berta. Now he's faded into the background a bit, but he's been along with Mikel, the architect of identifying the players, bringing in the players, and maybe it's not. You know where you're getting with Zubimendi, you know where you're getting with Gyökeres, maybe you know where you're getting with Madueke, but the players like I referenced earlier, Mosquera and Hencapi, they've allowed us to have the solid foundation upon which to go and win games and accrue points uh, through this part of the season. So
Yeah,
that's pretty important.
and he could have been done with business, but he went out there and he kept getting deals. Then
Yeah.
there's stuff like he got our Ukrainian away. I mean,
I'll tell
he
you
was
what. I
signing
mean,
players, trying to
we
get
had
players out.
listen. We had injuries this time last year, but Mikel Arteta this time, if we get to a semi-final of the Champions League, and Mikel Arteta's looking back at that bench, we want him see him looking at Eze, Madueke, these kinds of players that can come on and affect games. And maybe Jesus or Gyökeres is one of those that's sitting on the bench as well that can get a goal for us. Martinelli scoring against Donnarumma, Gyökeres' goal against Inter, and Noni's blast against Bruges are my favorites so far. So yeah. Listen, it's been a good season so far with
And when was the
some.
last time that we were in a transfer window? And we're not all running around going like, oh, we need this position. This position needs to be filled. We're still missing. I'm not even paying attention to the transfer window.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and we're on the 22nd. There's
That's
not
not
long.
being lost. That's not being lost on me. I mean, I was driving home today thinking about that. Like, we're pretty calm. Not anything much is going on in the transfer window. Obviously, we have a player or two who has gone out on loan that we can talk about. But we're pretty calm about this. Now we're looking to get some money for Zinchenko. You know what I mean? Going to Ajax, things like this. This window, maybe the next window, we'll be doing some dealing, which will require Andrea Berta to do the other end of his transfer business, which is bring some money in
Oh,
for
well,
players who are going.
that that's kind of what the Italian that they're bringing in is good at. Even though he looks like a mafioso, that he could,
Well,
if
maybe
you don't sign,
that's how
you
it's going to
sign
be
the
done.
deal
Maybe.
or you either sign this deal or you don't exist anymore.
The
If we
said
get
Martinelli unleashed for 60 years Trivella. Whatever that, I'm not sure what that
60 yards,
means. What? 60 yards?
yeah, 60
Oh,
yards to Villa.
is
Pass.
Trivella, is that a term? I've never heard that
Kind of a
one.
pass.
A pass.
Yeah,
Hell of a pass?
it's a style of a pass. A
Oh,
Travella,
style.
and he
Okay,
don't
with
want.
the
Yeah.
outside of the boot. Okay.
I mean, I was just
Nice
going to
one
say, if
there.
we get to the end of this transfer window and we haven't signed anybody, I'm not overly concerned about that.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you.
I'm not overly concerned. We don't need to do an Aspria and bring in someone that's going to upset the apple cart. We don't
Yeah.
need to do that.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Uh,
if there's an opportunity or there's something that happens within in the markets that there's an opportunity, great. But if we get to the end of this window and we haven't signed anyone, I'm not going to be um, as pissed off about it as I was the last time the last time around in January.
Yeah. The only thing that
I,
I think has happened. Go ahead, Tony. Were you going to add to that?
I was gonna say I would still be looking at fullback and look at one away
Right, but we're not desperate.
wingers.
You know what I mean? We're not desperately clamoring for these players. We've got pretty decent coverage all over the field.
Ben White can't hold up
No,
doing what Arteta
okay.
wants him to do.
Yeah. What would the options be? Ben White, you got Timber. Maybe you would push Saliba out there or Mosquera out there in a pinch as well. Um,
I still like Timber best on the left, but
right. But we have Miles Skelly, we have Calafiori.
yeah, but
He's a good. The one time he was good was when he went out on the left wing to mark Mo Salah when Liverpool came to the Emirates a few years ago. But
And when
yeah,
Hencapié is fit, he can play there as well. So I
yeah,
think that we are very
well
well,
stuck.
we're very well stocked,
Yeah,
personally.
and unfortunately, Mark Gay was not, because we were very well stocked. Mark Gay was not a priority for Arsenal if we even considered it. You know. So he has subsequently joined Man City, and Semenyo has joined Man City, and you might think not with a great amount of success so far, with the defeats that they've had, Man City have had in the last 7 days.
And I would say as well, did City really need to buy Semenyo? I mean, for me, the wings seem to be an area where they're fully stacked. I would have said that
Yeah,
if they needed to spend some money, they should have brought in another defender on top of Mark Gahey.
maybe a midfielder or a creative attack, creative midfielder, something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Or
or a defender.
another defensive midfielder, because
Yeah,
Rodri does look a bit washed since coming back from his injury, right?
he does. Yeah, he does look like coming back from the injury and have heavier pitches in December and January. Although, albeit the pitches are a lot better in a lot better nick now than they used to be. I remember like FA Cup games where it was a field of mud. You know what I mean? And
Okay,
the ball stuck to
come,
the turf.
come on, right? They're all elevated. You got all these heat tubes underneath.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly. Um,
top to bottom, the pitches are immaculate. It's not like when Wenger used to gripe about them.
no,
Like when
but
some of those places, you just had those like patches of mud or just patches of dirt. It's like,
yeah, yeah. There was some FA Cup games back in the day where you couldn't even see a blade of grass.
No, it was like playing on a
yeah,
ploughed field. It
Yeah,
looked like just before kickoff, the team had taken an ox out onto the field with a big plough behind them and just made them walk up and down the pitch until
yeah,
it was all ploughed up.
yeah. And you
There'd
have to like,
literally be potatoes on on the pitch, right?
yeah, 100%. Um, BX said he's hearing some consistent Julian Alvarez links with Arsenal. Um,
Right, I'll take that.
and Stephen agrees with you, Stan. We're not being fussed here. If we don't get anyone this window, it's a totally different situation to last season. Last season, I will not lie, it was very tough to get motivated to put some podcasts together because I almost felt at a point if Arsenal didn't care, why should I care? You know what I mean? Because we're let's not beat around the bush here. We're in a position now where we can't come second or third. This has to be a winning. This has to be a winning season. We can't do this again. You know what I mean? In this, and particularly in this position, and with the squad that Mikel Arteta has at his disposal, even if we have a Kai Havertz doubt for
okay,
the rest of the season, we have players, we have a squad now who can, it's injury proof in a lot of ways. It's injury proof, you know.
yeah,
There's no
it can't be like it was 2 years ago. 8 points clear near the end of April, and we still lost stupidly.
Yeah,
there's no
definitely.
there's no reason for us to have a need to rush Kai Havertz back. We have
Yeah,
three other options available to us.
yeah,
So I don't see the need in having to rush him back, and I would rather wait until the guy is fit enough to play at his best level for us.
yeah.
If it means that we have to wait a little bit longer, I'm okay with that.
I feel like we've done that this season. If a player has had an injury or has tweaked something, he's taken out of the team. He gets the treatment. Another player comes in, plays for 2 or 3 games until that player is ready to come back. Like we've not needed to rush players back. Gabriel Magalhaes was one of those examples where we were able to take time with him till he was ready. Albeit, he conceded an early giveaway goal at Bournemouth, but made up for it quickly, and now he's firing on all cylinders for us. Um, so you look at other teams that have had to rush players in and put band-aids in certain situations, like Liverpool's right back position has been a problem for them most of the
I,
season.
The
I
left back
wonder
as
where
well.
that rate. I
Yeah,
wonder
yeah.
where that rates all time. Ray put 20 goals from a center back. Eh, I would even go in first division, not just Premier League. That has to be pretty
Gabriel
high up
Magalhaes,
there.
yeah,
Yeah,
18 or 19 now, right? He's had a decent
points to
amount.
20. He's on 20 now.
Yeah. Listen, he's there's
He's
every possibility he could get 4 or 5 more by the end of the season as
he's
well.
two behind
You know,
Koscielny, which he
I think he's
actually
one
would
now.
play in
Only one.
midfield, play
he's
as
right.
a
He's right there with him.
wingback.
He's right there with him. Um, all right. So some of the other news coming out of Arsenal this transfer window is Ethan Waneri. He's going on
Boo!
loan to Marseille. Right?
I want to send him to France.
Makes sense though, right? Doesn't it? You know,
I just don't like sending players to France.
There is one. There is one argument that I've seen online which has a little bit of credence. Do you want to send one of your young prodigies to a team where you've got,
Bamiak.
where you've got Emperor Palpatine over there, and you're sending in a young, Anakin Skywalker to sit next to him
Who's
and to get
who's the
taken over to the
Palpatine
dark
figure?
side. But I think that players these days are more professional. Aubameyang's doing his job over there.
Yeah,
He shouldn't really still have an axe to grind. So I kind of get that. Do you want to put him over there with someone, with him because the way that it did end with us? But I mean, a lot of time has gone by, and time does heal. And
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that the management, if they thought it was a bad move, they wouldn't even look at it. And
yeah. I think
I would say that the player, I think the signing of Eze has moved Wanari down the pecking order slightly. But look how it all worked out for Saliba. The loans that we put Saliba through before he became what he is now. All right, Gary. It hasn't seemed to.
In the house.
It didn't do him any harm. So maybe it will go the same way. Maybe he'll come back a better man.
Yeah.
He can get some rhythm. He can play on a more regular basis, and then we can actually, really get a good look at the player that he is, and he can come back improved.
Yeah.
Rather than sending a player like when we sent Nketiah off to Leeds, and he couldn't even get in the first team.
Yeah, and I'd say even Aubameyang being at Arsenal 5 or 6 years ago, he would have known about Ethan Waneri. Even around the club, right? There's a huge age gap there, but I would like to think that Aubameyang's taken him under his wing there when he goes to France, and gets him acclimated to a new country, a new experience, and new environment, and play.
Let's go wrap
football.
cars together.
Yeah, and play some football. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be good for the maturation of the player as well, the maturity of the player to get some of those experiences. Because what is he, 18, 17, 18 years old? He's still extremely young, and he needs to play. He needs
19
to
now.
play. Yeah. Mikel Arteta's kept him in the squad, so that counts for something. That he's been part of the squad for half a season, over half a season.
Yeah.
Would you rather Ranieri go out on loan and get minutes and learn more about the game, or would you rather have him sat at Arsenal this season, not being able to get the minutes? Personally, after seeing how well it worked for Saliba, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. There were plenty of seasons in the past where we'd have players that would go out on loan, and we had a small squad as it is, and you're like, we're sending that guy out on loan with such a small squad, and then halfway through the season, we'd have a problem with availability, and you're going, oh, that guy. If only that guy wasn't over there on loan, we could have him. But I don't. I think we've gone past that now, and
Yeah,
you can't just collect players and stock them up and not let them have minutes,
unless
especially
you're Chelsea.
yeah, unless you're Chelsea, yeah. But especially when it's a player that is young in the game and is still learning, the minutes are going to help. You know,
Yeah,
so I don't think it's a case of him being pushed out. But even if that is the case, we're in the driving seat because we've given him a new contract, which means that we're holding the cards.
yeah.
The player's not holding the cards, we are.
There's no there's no obligation here. It is just
Yeah.
a loan period till the end of the season. When Eric can get some minutes and play some games, hopefully, and it's kind of a win-win situation because Mikel Arteta has not really thought about one area too much in terms of playing games, even in Carabao Cup games. You know, the opportunities that you would think that he would have played him, he didn't play him in those situations. So Waneri is probably a good move for him, given the fact, Tony, that he was not going to be playing for Arsenal.
Uh, to me, you still go back to last year. Odegaard's out when there he could have been playing. Hurt this year, not playing as a much. He
Let
could
me
have
just
played.
Yeah, and let me just say, alone is the club thinks highly of you if you're going out on loan and they're not interested in selling you. You know, I think
Yeah.
the club that it can be misperceived or misconceived
Yeah,
because
Saliba.
BX said here, BX said Ethan was barely used last season and spent another half a season not playing much. This loan seems like a push out the door. It's a push out the door to have him play football and get some experience as well and to better his game so that he can come back to Arsenal a better player.
We don't know what goes on. We can only speculate. But when Saliba was going out on loan quite a lot, there was a similar feeling. Oh, the manager doesn't rate him. He wasn't the manager's buy. You know, he was bought not under this manager's tenure. You know, he's being pushed out of the door. But even if that was the case, Saliba proved that there was no reason to push him out of the door
Yeah.
because of the
Yeah.
quality of the player. You know, and
Right.
he earned his place. And I'm hoping it will be the same for Ethan.
Listen, Arsenal, Arsenal are at the top of the Premier League, the top of the Champions League, about to maybe get to a final of a Carabao Cup and progress in the FA Cup. We are not in a situation where we can give a young player experience by reducing what we can do on the field because there's 11 places. There's basically 10 spots on the field. There's a goalkeeper and 10 positions. If you have one player who's out on the pitch not doing his job or not able to do his job, you're basically reduce your efficiency by 10% because of that one position. You know, so at the age that he's at, okay, he had a breakout season 23-24, as BX said, hardly used then the next two season and a half, right? But that's because the player is in that weird age group where Arsenal are really good, and an 18-year-old has to be exceptional to be able to break into the team and do things over an Odegaard, over an Eze, over a Trossard. You know, there's just too much competition in Arsenal's midfield to accommodate the minutes that Ethan Waneri
I,
would need. You know,
I, I think he deserved more minutes, and I don't think he looked that bad when he was out there. I just don't think
yeah.
Arteta.
Yeah, listen, if it was me, Antonio, he got dropped out there. You know, it's got to put 50 pence in the meter to put the lights back on. Anyone who played snooker back in the days would know, or anyone who's played pool, you have to put some money in the meter to get and here he is, to get the lights back on. Um, And yeah, I'd play snooker when I was a kid. Have to put some money in there to keep the lights on and keep things
Well,
moving so you could
well,
continue to play
what do you
in the
think of the
pool.
last snooker video I sent you, Ray?
Yeah, I saw that one. It was the one where there's red balls in a circle and you shoot one and it goes all the way around, comes back and joins again. But yeah, Ethan Waneri. Stan, anything else to say? Really, I mean, he just needs to play, and we're not able to give him those minutes. Listen, if I'm Mikel Arteta, and this is what I was going to say before Tony dropped out, uh, I would find minutes for him, but it would be at the expense of Odegaard as a Trossard.
Yeah, but when Odegaard was out, as he wasn't clicking, there's no reason he wasn't playing.
Agreed.
He could have featured.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
also think that there's too much at stake this season for where we are in the competitions, where we can't give charity to certain players. We have to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
with sure things, if that makes any sense. This season is so vital, and as I say, when it comes to Ethan Waneri and his future, we do hold all of the cards.
And you have to safeguard the education, the football education of the player. The club has a responsibility not only to get results on the field, but to progress the abilities of every player and do the right thing by them. And listen, it happened with Saliba. Maybe we kept him a season too long on loan, but it definitely waiting on Saliba was worthwhile, and they obviously feel and this decision is not just taken by Mikel Arteta; it's taken by everybody at the club, and Andrea Berta also. So these discussions had been held behind closed doors. The player had not been open to it leading up to this window, and now maybe sees maybe there was a sit down saying, "Listen, it's the best thing for you is go to France, play some football. We'll bring you back in the summer. After the World Cup, we'll go on a quick tour, and you're part of our plans again next season potentially."
And I would rather him go on loan in another league and go on loan in our league. And the reason for that is, even though it's a better quality in our league, for a
Yeah.
young man to have experience away from home, away from his security blanket of the club and family, you'll get to see the man that he is.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
bit like it's a little bit like if you have a young child, you have a child and they go off, they leave home for the first time to go to university.
Yeah.
It builds the character. You're in a new environment. You're at a university that's miles and miles away from home in probably a city that you've never really been to before. It can make you. I joined the army at 15 and a half. It was my first time away from home. I was with people from all different places over the country. I had Geordies, people from up north with me that I'd never had the cultural experience. I think it helps to shape somebody.
Hmm.
So I think it will do him the world of good.
Yeah.
He may start to pick up some of the language as well, some of the culture. It just makes him more worldly traveled, and it just opens up your eyes to the rest of the world. And I think that could really make a young person
Yeah.
not being on the apron strings of the club or family. It shows you what this person is capable of, right?
Yeah. 4 months. It is just 4 months when you think about it till May, and we know what the talent of the player is. The club is aware of his talent level, his abilities. We safeguarded him. Uh, he's just been given a contract, right? And he was just handed an improved contract, and now he's going to go out on loan. So it really is a win-win for all parties. The only way that this goes pear shaped is if three players that he's been competing with become injured at the same time, which is, knock on wood, is quite unforeseeable. Odegaard, Eze, Trossard, these type of players, if they all got injured at the same time, which is would be hard to see. And that those honestly those have been the players who have been the barriers to his progress. So um, BX, time will tell. We shall see what Ethan does in France, and we'll be we'll hear time to time what he's doing, but he'll be back in the summer. Tony, will Ethan ever play for Arsenal again? Here we go. Here we go. This sounds vaguely vaguely familiar.
Yeah, but well, he can
Will
take one.
Ethan ever play for Arsenal again, Tony?
Well, I don't think so.
I really thought you'd say yes this time.
Oh well, you have to remember the last time.
Stan is texting his missus now
The
as
right
we
back
speak.
got injured. Right?
Tony's
You
at it
forget.
again. That's what your text will say. Tony's at it again.
You forget with Saliba, the right back got hurt, so Ben White automatically somehow becomes a fullback, which he can't do because he keeps getting injured playing it. But
Yeah,
there was that open center back spot, so he decided to stay and fight for his minutes. I listened to the videos that Saliba was saying in France.
yeah,
And he
um,
said, for now, I'm an Arsenal player. I can't say more or I would get in trouble. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
doesn't sound like somebody that.
All right, we shall see. We shall see with Ethan what happens.
Also, as well, even though the player's going to be going out on loan, they're going to be getting reports how he's doing in training. Is he able to get himself into an established team? When he gets this opportunity to get into an established team, is he going to make his mark and be able to keep his place? These are all good
Yeah,
things.
yeah. We don't expect him. At least I don't expect him to walk into the starting 11 of Marseille.
No,
He'll be,
got to earn
he'll
it.
be sitting on.
He's going to have to
He'll be
earn it.
sitting on the bench. He'll have to play his part when needed. That's the thing as a substitute. You have to wait for the last 20 minutes of a game, and then you have to make an impact when you come on. You have to do something to help the team, you know, whether that be maintain possession because you're leading or score a goal because you need to tie, draw the game, or win the game. Um,
What kind of an attitude do you want? Do you want a player that's going to be like, okay, they've asked me to warm up. I'm only going to get 10 to 15 minutes here. What's the point? Or do you want a player that's like, oh, you want me to warm up? And they're ready to go and they're thinking like, right, I'm going to make the most out of the next 10 to
yeah.
15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it may be. That's the attitude that you're looking for, right?
Enthusiasm is everything, even in any walk of life. Enthusiasm is everything. Tiger and Gunnar is enthusiastic to come back to us.
Welcome
Morning,
back.
lads. Sorry for not being around much of late, but I'm back from the dead. So yeah, good to
Good.
see you back.
Good
Hope you've
news.
been well, Tiger and Gunnar. Good to see get the people back in the house. Good to see you. Cheers, mate. And we do always love that connection, Stan, from Australia as well. You know what I mean? Because it's a time zone. We know where you're coming from, literally and figuratively. We know where you're coming from, Tiger and Gunnar. So yeah, that's the. Anything else on window? We can move away from the window a little bit. Uh,
No, not really. I'm not, as I say, I'm not even really thinking. Usually, when it comes to this time of the year, I'm, looking online, seeing if there's any news on.
yeah,
Really,
frantically refreshing. Right?
as I say, look, we're already on the 22nd of January. There's not that long to go, and I'm not really that fussed about it.
Yeah. Um, get back to what we were sort of talking about. Arsenal this season, Stan. There's a caption here. Arsenal have been responsible for ending some of Europe's longest unbeaten runs this season. So when Arsenal have crossed swords with Bayern Munich, they were 17 games unbeaten. When we crossed swords with Aston Villa,
I think it was 18.
what?
I think it might have even been 18. Might be wrong.
17, 18 maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Aston Villa, 11 games. I think this is Inter Milan. Yeah, eight. They were eight unbeaten. before we came, and Atletico Madrid 7 unbeaten before you know, when the best meets the best, then you know who is the greatest. And
And what I'm
Arsenal,
enjoying about the Champions League, other than away from the Premier League, is that stylistically, it's a lot better. We're not going up against teams that are like, okay, in this league, it's like, okay, we're going to put in a low block and see if we can sort of like nick a point. Teams are going out and playing their game. We're going out and playing ours. And stylistically, I think it's making the games, more enjoyable to watch.
yeah.
It's a
Looking,
style thing, isn't it?
yes, and I
How many
think
teams? How many
Victor,
teams have we beaten that are sat at the top in the Champions League that have been sat at the top of their respective league, and we've gone out and dominated them?
yeah, Bayern Munich,
Slavia Prague are at the top of their league, right?
yes, yeah,
Bayern Munich, Madrid,
Bayern Munich, Inter, right?
Madrid were for a while in the top
Yes,
two, fighting against Barcelona, and I don't have any. I don't have any fears now. I thought that the two teams that were the ones to watch out for in the Champions League would probably be Real Madrid and PSG. But look how they're faring. Real Madrid have just gone through a managerial change. They're having a lot of problems there with the way that they've been going this season, and you've got to be able to take those opportunities. The same with I mean, the same with Manchester City as well. And
they got Tiger.
Welcome back, man. But we're able to go and give good account of ourselves. And look at PSG. They lost to Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah. Here's the thing now. I mean, we know about Real Madrid. Real Madrid will always be Real Madrid, but they are going through that managerial issue with Alonso, and I think they got dumped out of the Copa del Rey as well. They were beaten in humiliating fashion. The thing about PSG, I think that PSG they're a quality team, but they have to be having the effects of playing that Club World Cup last summer, and the carryover of continually playing football throughout the season and throughout what could have been their holidays.
That could be us next season. We could be in that competition next season, right?
Yeah.
You can only, you just got to deal with the fixtures.
It's not mandatory though. The club PSG chose to participate in that, right? It's not like
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works in that competition.
Yeah. If anyone knows in the chat, just let me know about it. It's not an obligation to participate. I believe you'd be invited. The other thing, there's
good money involved, right? There's good money involved, even just for winning the games, right? They make it very financially alluring to be in that competition.
Do you think we would get into that situation where the Cronkies would mandate that we participate in these competitions to, bring the revenue in? You know what I mean?
I don't think we have an ownership that goes with the mandates. I think it's more of a collective decision at Arsenal.
Okay.
They say, okay, we think we should be in this competition. What do you think? And I think there's more of a discussion rather than at a Chelsea or a Man United where the manager or head coach is basically told, this is what you're doing, this is who you're playing. We want to see you fielding these players. Yeah, we're selling this player, but I don't want to sell this player. Well, I'm sorry, we're selling this player. And we brought you this player, but I don't want that player. Well, you've got him. You need to work in this way. I think that it's more of a collective decision, and Mikel Arteta has been given the trust to be a little bit more autonomous in the decision making.
And did we talk about that last podcast? I feel like it's a little bit of something we covered, but we need to reiterate this. The teams that have managers, Pep Guardiola, Unai Emery, and or Mikel Arteta are the three teams at the top of the Premier League. So there's definitely something to being a manager over a head coach. You know, the head coaches who were Maresca or
Amarin,
Ruben Amorim, they've not seemed to prosper.
Glasner.
Maybe Reich, Frank, what's his name, Thomas Frank?
Thomas Frank.
Well, he's struggling as well, and Glasner also.
And
So there's probably
going back to revenue, Ray, we've already
Ariola at
made
Bournemouth.
yeah,
already this season we've made 93 million in the
yeah,
Champions
yeah.
League.
Being participating in the Champions League stand, we've accrued close to 93 million, and that's not even till the end of the season yet. So the Champions League, it really is a cash cow for these teams as well, and it enables them, if you apply a plan properly to your club, you can stay in the Champions League as long as you're clever with the money and you reinvest it properly. You could stay in the Champions League for a number of years.
I wish I read an article the other day they had on ESPN because it's talking about how all these teams are selling and buying players for the exact same price.
Yeah, they're just moving around the leagues. There is a little bit of that in the Premier League as well. You know, selling the better teams sell to the mid-table teams and the lower level teams. Like, I'm sure Arsenal at some point will get to that stage where a Leandro Trossard could go to Everton. A Gabriel Jesus could go to Bournemouth or something like that. That's going to happen.
Oh,
Man
only
City have
place
been
he's
doing it for
going
years.
is back to Brazil, Ray.
Yeah, Man City have been doing it for years though to recoup the money and make the books look decent, right? Madrid is a mess right now, says Steven, and I think we learned a lot from our PSG loss. Yeah, listen, if I'm an Arsenal player and I'm hurting from that semi-final, I'm working the whole season to get back into a position where you may meet PSG again, or go further in the competition than a semi-final. We've I've said this before, and Stan and Tony can jump in as well, but I've said this before. You've got to be in the Champions League a number of years and have a few disappointments here and there before you actually crack that egg and get the yolk of the winning the competition at the end of the day. Man City did it once, you know what I mean? Um, I feel bad for F.
I,
Frank.
Yeah,
I think
Frank.
it's different with this new format actually being a league.
Yes.
I think it makes a difference because there's always post, oh, Arteta's made more points than so and so in the Champions League than Arsenal did at this time. It's like it's set up totally different. You can't compare.
Yeah. I feel
Think
bad for
about it, if
Frank.
you're an Arsenal player over the last 2 seasons now, and you're at this point, what team in the Premier League or the Champions League should you be afraid of playing? You shouldn't.
None.
You should feel confident
None.
now that you can,
Yeah.
not even just at home, away, that you can give a good account of yourself. And I think that's the position that Arsenal is in. There isn't a team that we should be, oh no, we don't need to be playing them. We can give anybody a game.
Yeah. There was a recent interview with Saliba. He said, my pockets, I don't like ending the season when my pockets being empty. You know,
Who does?
I want something in my pockets this summer. So the players have the bit between their teeth, and they want to do this. You know what I mean? Steven said he feels bad for Frank. The Tottenham team is piss poor. I always rated Thomas Frank. I thought he could be a future Arsenal manager, but he's got that stain now of being with Tottenham. It'll be a hard one to reclaim coming back. Um, you look like you have something there, Stan.
No, I mean, if you're Thomas Frank, you must be saying to yourself, why did I leave Brentford?
Well, if Tottenham's coming to get you, you sort of ask that question before you sign for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Why should I go there? You know what I mean? Um, one of the captions I sent you, Stan, was the strength of the Premier League in the Champions League. So, what I mean by that is like there could be 8 teams in the top 8 dominating the Champions League top 8 with one match to
6.
play. 6 Premier League teams could finish in the top 8, and that sort of lends to what you're saying, Stan. Who should we fear? We shouldn't fear anybody in this competition.
No, and the reason that there could be 6 teams making up the top 8 is the quality of the league, and even teams that are lower down the table have quality players, and that could make the league seem a little bit boring because on any given day, you can go up, a low to mid-table team can get something out of a game against teams that are above them.
Yeah, yeah, and those 6 teams
You
we're
don't really
talking
see
about.
that. You don't really see that in Spain or some of the other leagues, right? You don't really see that.
Yeah,
They're considered big upsets when it happens.
when you're looking at Man City in third place, or even Liverpool, who's fourth, I think, right now, tenuously fourth. They've still got quality players that can hurt a European team. So if Real Madrid draws a City, that's not a foregone conclusion that Real Madrid will win that game. Used to be the case, but you look at the brackets last year. We were involved in those brackets last year. Nobody really gave us a sniff of getting past Real Madrid last season, and Declan Rice showing 2 wonder goals of free kicks. That ties over with those 2 free kicks. Saka scores at the Bernabeu. Martinelli finishes the job off, and Arsenal win what 4-1. I think it was 4 or 5-1
Convincing.
convincingly. Yeah, I think it was 5-1 on aggregate because Mikel Merino did score as well in the home leg. In the, you know, Saliba could get the World Cup as well. So Saliba could fill his pockets this coming season as well.
And as good as the individuals that they have there at Real Madrid, it's not an individual's game, is it? It is a team game.
Yeah,
And one of the things that I think Mikel Arteta, I tip my hat to him, is that he has galvanised a team feeling at Arsenal.
yeah,
And I think that's one of the keys for us. They've got some great players at Real Madrid, but playing as a team at the moment, it's not really happening for them. Similar to Man City, right? Now that the main guy that scores their goals, his powers are waning a little bit. They're suffering.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. You can have a team full of great players, but it doesn't mean it's a great team. You know,
exactly.
so and that's
Or better said, great athletes, but maybe not the best players.
yeah. So look, sort of like Stan and I in particular, like we've been on this Mikel Arteta train for 7 or 8 years, and the percentages has waned back and forth, but we haven't really talked about it in a couple of seasons because I think we both recognize we don't need to anymore because the quality he has qualities there that for make a good manager. But I think a good squad, a really great squad, can help solidify, or cement the abilities of a great manager. So
I also think that the ownership, should also be applauded for having the patience as well and making the investment. There's so many times where you see managers just not given enough time.
yeah,
Decisions are made very quickly, almost knee jerk.
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily the answer. But Mikel Arteta has been given enough time now to shape this team in his image, and I think it's working.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It's
it really
definitely
is working.
definitely is working. 7 points, 7 point lead in the Premier League. Um, Even with just the draw, which drew some criticism from our rival fans and our own fans because we didn't go and kill Nottingham Forest. Well, guess what? When Man City won the league a couple of years ago, they drew at Nottingham Forest. When Liverpool won the league last year, they drew at Nottingham Forest.
But
So
it's a good thing. It's a good thing to draw against Nottingham Forest and some of the fans to be unhappy because that's where our expectations are now.
yeah,
That is the level. That's the bar that we have reached.
right,
You
yeah,
know, and that's a good thing. Not a bad thing. That's a
yeah,
good thing.
yeah. Then we listen. Always be grateful because as Arsenal fans, we've been as low as eighth place. We've been talking about a season where we've lost 14 games. We've been talking about a season where we drew 14 games.
And also, you see the disappointment on the players. And the players aren't running off the pitch after Nottingham Forest high fiving it, going, "Yay,
Yeah,
we got a point. It's all good." They're disappointed that they didn't get 2 more points, and
Declan Rice.
that is the correct attitude.
Yeah,
That's the correct attitude. Not like, well, we're still top of the league. You know,
no,
okay, it was 0-0 and we still run away with a point. High five, everybody. Let's all go out and have a beer.
yeah.
No, let's all go back on to the training pitch and try and improve. And you could see that it meant something, that it matters, and that's
You
all
could
that you
see,
can. That's all that you can ask for is that the team. It matters to the team
yeah,
when they drop a few points, a couple of points.
you could see Declan Rice walking off the field, and he was saying something the lip readers could read, but his basic body language was telling us he was not happy because of the standards that have
There's a
been
standard.
instilled. They're also in the player. The standards are within the players, but the manager is holding them accountable to a performance level that, yeah, of course, Arteta wanted to get 3 points in Nottingham Forest. The players didn't put in the best performance, and some have said it's due to playing a lot of games through Christmas, the New Year, and fatigue does set in a little bit, and then you try to get things refreshed a little bit. And we had a good performance away at Inter Milan, not to be sneezed at all.
We could have drawn that game away from home and still been in a good position, but they went out there and won it
Yep,
comfortably.
yep, yep,
That's the standard. That's the standard that we have at Arsenal Football Club now. That is the standard.
yep,
You know.
yep.
As far as I'm concerned, great. But now there's another match to go to.
Right.
You know, the Inter Milan game is gone. There's now another game coming up, and at the end of the season, that's the time to look back and slap each other on the back and high five it when you have something to show for it.
Yep.
The
So
job is not done yet.
the Champions League game on Tuesday night, and a Premier League game coming up on Sunday. So a nice gap to the days, right?
Do you think if we get a draw in our next Champions League game, that everyone will still be happy? No.
Yeah.
I'll be like, well, there's a standard now. It's not like, oh,
Well,
we drew that game or we lost that game, but we're still at the top. No, that's
well,
not the standard at Arsenal now. That's not the
well,
standard.
okay.
Did
I
you
hear
what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, but we can also, that's kind of a dead rubber game, right?
It depends.
We don't treat games like dead rubbers anymore. That's the difference. We don't do that anymore.
Okay.
We go
Yeah.
out and there is a will, and you can see from the manager to the coaches to the players, there's a will to win, not just take second best, not to just go for a dead rubber and go, yeah, well, we're still top of that particular competition, so it doesn't matter. It does matter to them when they don't win, and I like that. I like to see that.
Yeah. Tony? Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, I think you're going to be playing a lot of players that you don't see. Maybe some of those 19-year-olds that have been on the bench that haven't played any, and
Yeah.
they finally get out there. But I don't think you'll see too much. And I don't want to see too many of the stars out there.
And that's how you keep the hunger. That's how you keep things fresh within the squad. I think, you
And
know,
you keep players interested as well. If you know that you're
exactly.
going to get your minutes, there's no need to put on a Marley Salmon, for example, someone who's an up and comer, or an Anous Harriman. You still want to go out and win, right?
Yeah,
Maybe have a couple on the bench, and if you're cruising in the Champions League and we're kicking the shit out of them next week, we might be able to sprinkle something in. But the last game, as I say, we made 7 changes, 8 if you consider that Timber was playing not in his favoured position. If
yeah,
you want to go that far, and
yeah.
we
I
still
mean,
managed to get some. When was the last time we could make 7 changes and get something out of the game? Because the people that were coming in weren't good enough before. They weren't good enough.
yeah, 100%, definitely. Um, Miles Lewis Kelly got a game. Inter Milan. Mosquera. So two players on the left side of our defense played.
I thought Mascara had a great game.
Yep, very, very. He has been very impressive. I've been very impressed with him this season. He's just shown like,
He's a kid.
yeah. I mean, okay. In some ways, you're a kid and you come to Arsenal. You have Gabriel Magalhaes, who's a Goliath, right? And so you say, okay, well, I'm not going to dislodge him, but I'm just going to play my game. I'm just going to play my natural game and see how it goes, because I can't take his place, right?
But he can't play forever, right? At some point, because of the age difference, at some point, Gabriel Megalegs, a little bit like Van Dijk, you reach the crest,
Yeah,
and the only way from there is to go down the other side of the hill.
yeah.
And when that happens, you want to make sure that you've got the reinforcements which are up and coming and they're hungry to step into that position.
The important thing is, I think as well, Mosquera can tell himself, I'm not competing with Gabriel Magalhaes. I'm just playing my own game, because there's a vast amount of experience and ability between the two of them. But he has, with that being said, he has performed so well. I've been impressed with him this season as well. Right from, imagine you're at Anfield and there's an injury. He had to come on after 3 or 4 minutes at Anfield, and he didn't look out of place, playing at probably what some would say is the toughest away venue, away ground in England. You know.
But you have to remember as well, it wasn't like he was a kid that we got from someone else's academy or someone else's bench. He was at Valencia playing
Yeah.
regular football at Valencia. You know, all right, Valencia might not be winning the Italian league every season, but they're a big club with a good heritage. They've got their brand, and he was able to get into that starting lineup on a regular basis. And
Yeah.
again, that's down to him. That's down to him and his hard work, and that's the reason that he's now managed to get that move to come to us.
Yeah. It's not easy to build a squad knowing that this is a player who's not going to start every game. You know, you're young, but you've got the opportunity to come to England and play for Arsenal, and that's got to be attractive as well, right? But you're not going to play every game, and it's probably,
You're not going to play every game, but the manager can turn around and say, that next Champions League game away at the San Siro, you're starting. I have the
yeah,
confidence in you.
yeah,
Don't worry about it.
yeah. And he's played at Anfield, he's played at San Siro, and not looked out of place. And I'm sure he's played in some more impressive stadiums as well. Uh, Tony, what's your thoughts on Mosquera? You got anything to add? I mean, these players, Hincapi and Mosquera, they don't look out of place when they come into the Arsenal lineup.
No, I think they're to me. I think they look better than Calipari did last season. He always looked like a
High
liability
praise.
on deep.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Calafiori needed a little bit of time, maybe an injury here and there to look the part. You know.
It took him time to, there has to be a bedding in period, and Calafiori has had that, as did Timber. Timber's career with Arsenal was set back by a season, really, right? He had
Yeah.
to wait a season due to injury, and now
Yes.
he's bedded in. He knows what the job is. He knows his teammates, and he's one of the first names now that you have on the team sheet, as is Calafiori. Calafiori, I mean, the role that he's managed to get for himself in our team, he has a special role, and you can see that the manager really appreciates what he can do. And we had such an abundance of choices at left back, and Calafiori has managed to rise to the top of the choices when it comes to that position.
Yeah. And whilst Miles Lewis Skelly is a talent, he is basically a midfielder who has been repurposed to be a left back.
Yeah, but
And it's still learning.
what did he do wrong last year, Ray?
I think he's definitely improved since last year. Last year for
He,
me, he was
I thought
diving
he
in.
was I thought he was one of the better players on the team last season.
He was the only issue I had with him was his discipline and not jumping into tackles and getting yellow cards. As a result of that. So I felt like that's what was going on with him. Um, he was, he
Uh,
had that rash sending off
you,
at
you,
Wolverhampton Wanderers as well.
you know that happens with everybody, Ray.
It happens with young players, that's for sure.
Go go look what Vieira was doing at that age.
Yeah, and again, a little bit like one area, like we were talking about one area. The maturing of the mind is the most important thing, I think, for a young footballer. You know, you have to diagnose what's happening on the field and the thing that's happening very quickly. I'm thinking about Miles Lewis Skelly sending off against Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm thinking about his sending off against West Ham at home at the Emirates when Kudos got the better of him and he brought him down. These are the moments that Miles Lewis Skelly needs to think about his positioning. I seem to remember also a goal against Everton or a penalty that we conceded against Everton where he allowed the ball to bounce close to him without actually attacking it. So Miles Lewis Skelly defensively has improved, and I think he's less rash in front of opposition players now. He's not picking up the yellow cards that he would have last season for me.
And he's managed to get himself into the England team and do very well.
100%. Yeah,
But it was never going to be a case of that he was going to be the de facto left back forever just because of his age. And even at that young age, he was doing enough to get noticed at an international level. There's plenty of time left for Miles Lewis Skelly. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where his actual position is going to lie. But I still think, and I've said it before, that looking long term into the future, I don't know if he will ever become a regular mainstay starter at Arsenal just yet. I don't see it yet. As good as a player as he is, we will probably still go out and buy other players maybe ahead of him. I'm not sure. As much as I like him, it's very early days. But he's not in a bad. He's not got himself into a bad position, right? You
No,
know.
not at all. He's playing in the best team in the Premier League and Champions League, and he's learning. He's learning his craft as he goes. He seems to have the confidence of the manager as well, which is important. You know what I
And,
mean?
and if we do sometime in the future decide to move him on, we're going to be quids in, right? It's homegrown. It's all going to be pure profit, baby. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I think that if we should decide to sell him, that we'll be able to get a good price for him. You can't keep everybody, right?
Yeah. One of the other changes from the lineup on Tuesday was I'm going to go back to Gabriel Jesus a little bit, Stan, because I think it stands, it holds water that we should talk about him a little bit more because I think with Kai Havertz being out, he's going to get more and more minutes, and obviously we hope he's going to score goals and have an impact going forward. I always thought, ideal world, Gabriel Jesus would get back to fitness, score a few goals, and then we would sell him in January. That's what I always thought. But things happen in football, right? Where
Yeah, and
the
he's
situation,
happy. He's happy. He wants to stay. He likes his environment. He wants to play. So in order for that to happen, it's all up to him. If he makes himself undroppable or unsellable, fair play to him.
yeah,
And that's what I like. There's no one in the team that's just resting on their laurels, thinking like, and I've said it many times. Like when we had the situation with Hector Bellerin, and we had no other right back. It doesn't matter if Hector Bellerin has a really bad game because he's going to get picked for the next one. The competition now in the team, you don't have that anymore. You
no,
can't have a bad game. You can't have a bad game, and then in the middle of the game, say to yourself, "I know I'm having a bit of a stinker. I know I can play better than this, and you know what? By golly, gee whiz, I'm going to do better in the next game." You're
do
conning
you
yourself, con yourself right into that
well,
position, and then in the
yeah,
next game, you find yourself doing exactly the same things. And I think Hector Bellerin became stale because of the lack of competition and the lack of depth.
so just due to what you just said there, I want to delve into Eze just slightly, right? Do you think it's been unfair what Mikel Arteta has done to Ebericha Eze in terms of? I think it all stems back to that Aston Villa goal, the Matty Cash goal for Aston Villa, where maybe unfairly he's asking Eze as a winger and a creative midfielder to be a fullback, right, and think like a fullback.
Yeah, but if he wants to play in this Arsenal team, he's got to be able to adjust his way of play to play the Arsenal way. This isn't Crystal Palace. And as I
Yeah,
say, when you're on the bench, it's allowing him to look at the game and think, this is what is it that I need? I said this earlier, right? I'm just repeating myself. What is it
yeah,
that I need to do for the manager to pick me? And he's been able
yeah,
to sit on the bench now to see what's required. And I'm hoping it's going to be the same now
right,
for Victor.
yeah,
It's not a case of we haven't got anyone else. We're just going to have to keep playing Victor. We
right,
have choices now, and it might help Victor in a lot more ways, being able to take time on the bench to be able to learn about Arsenal from the bench. He must have been sat on the bench, and you got Gabriel Jesus, who's been out for such a long time. It's a Champions League game, and within what was it like less than half an hour, 2 goals. So now he's sitting there thinking like, if I get called upon in this game, I've got to make sure now that I do enough to give the manager a headache about starting in the next game, or in the next game if I'm on the bench, he doesn't go to Havertz and leave me out. That's not what I came here for,
yeah.
And so he's learning. He's learning. He's still learning about
I
Arsenal.
think that's
He's
some,
still
yeah.
learning about this league. He's not at Sporting anymore. He's still learning, and by being able to out and watch from the bench, you're able to learn. It's part of the education, and I think
I
it's the
think
same
I
for
think
Eze.
that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point, Stan. I seem to remember under Arsene Wenger,
I
under
think
Arsene Wenger
attackers.
when we, what's that, Tony?
I think attackers need to play. They need a rhythm. I don't think benching them helps them much.
I think I seem to remember Arsene Wenger buying Robert Perez or another attacking player. I'm not sure who it was, but they went to away to Sunderland, I think it was, and Arsene Wenger put him on the bench. The first game, he's a new signing. Start the season, he put him on the bench, so the player could experience the pace and physicality of the Premier League up close from the bench and see it, and then have that realization of how much work he needs to put into his game.
Yeah, Perez didn't just walk straight into the team. He became a magnificent player for us, but he had to he had to learn the Arsene Wenger way. He had to learn about the league. He wasn't just like put straight in,
Yeah,
and it worked for him. Same with Freddie as well, I believe.
and they were players who regularly got fouled as well because especially Robert Perez, the fullbacks came to know that you know the best Robert Perez was one that was laying on the ground after being taken down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Robert Perez was no Speedy Gonzalez. He wasn't the fastest of players, where he could just use his pace to get away from someone. He didn't have that in his
Yeah,
locker. He had other qualities, right?
yeah.
Free gym membership
But
for life.
but the one if I'm Gyökeres sitting on the bench, I mean, me as a viewer when I was watching it at home, the thing that I really noticed about uh, Jesus over Gyökeres was his movement,
Okay.
and I was watching it thinking like that's what we've been missing, the movement.
Yeah, because I think I was saying while you paused or when maybe I think I was saying that to
Yeah,
Tony.
I've got a hot pot on the cooking, and the missus is out, so it's my job to keep checking the hot pot.
You better take care of that, Stan.
I ruin that. I'm in shit street.
You'll be the hot pot. You will be in up shit creek. Um, yeah, Gabriel Jesus he seems to be able to sniff out where the ball's going to go. That's really important when you're a striker to know where the ball is going to end up. Like Gabriel Jesus is there for that ball that comes off the crossbar from Trossard's header against Inter Milan.
His first goal, right? He receives the ball, he holds it up with his back to back, moves it out, and then moves into a position. And when that ball hasn't got enough on it, he's there to stick his leg out and tuck it away.
It was a
That's
bit
what
of
you
an
look
Ian
for.
Wright finish for me.
That's what you're looking for. For me, that's what you're looking for. To still have enough awareness to see what's going on and think, I need to put my toe on this. It needs a
That
bit more.
reminded me of Ian Wright, that finish,
Yes.
because Ian Wright would get in those positions and be deadly.
And
The ball's in the back of that.
Gyökeres is watching that and thinking, okay, this is what I need to be doing.
Yeah,
This is what I need to be doing with my game to
yeah.
make sure that my contributions are more meaningful, right?
The ball is in the back of the net before the goalkeeper even knows. For the second one, the ball comes off the crossbar, and Jesus has it in the back of the net before the defenders can even react to it. Um, all right, Miles Lewis Kelly has been shown up a bit this year. His lack of experience has shown up a few times this season. He also seemed quicker last season, but that might just be me. I feel like he's actually settled in this season. That's
Uh,
it's funny how
I,
I have
I
different
don't.
like
I don't think his mind's in it that much. I don't think he likes starting nearly every game and now hardly getting any minutes.
yeah. I mean, I don't think any player likes that. You know what I mean? Uh, EastEnders getting good, Stan.
It is. And just to let you know, Tiger, as well, Jessie Wallace, who plays Kat Slater, I'm pals with her fella. And when I was in London last year, I met her for the first time, and they could be coming to our wedding. I think they've booked the time off to come to our wedding, so that should be a good laugh. She's a great laugh, great girl, and so's a fella. And it's funny every time I watch EastEnders now, and she comes onto the screen. I was going, oh, there she is.
Nice one, Stan. Nice one.
Yeah.
You're like, I know her.
Sorry, Tony.
I said, you're like, I know her.
I
I
know.
was
Right?
giving a wave to the TV. I had a great laugh with her when I was in London last year. She's a good egg. So is her fella Justin as well.
Good, 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 good. So yeah, listen. Arsenal played Tuesday, now Sunday, and a 5 day rest till Manchester United come in, Tony. So what can we hope for on Sunday? for Arsenal versus Manchester United. That's
Hopefully a little
all
bit
right.
more.
That's Cat,
Hopefully,
right?
It is.
Wow.
hopefully a little bit more energy and
Nice one. A little bit more energy from the Nottingham Forest game, right?
Oh,
Hey,
we lost him.
it's the fear. It's the fear of the bright lights. You know what I mean? He'll be back. He'll be back. Stan, on Saturday, I think I was looking at this there a couple of days ago. Man City will play Wolves at home. 3 points. You have to say it's 3 points for City, right?
Yeah, but I mean, who knows? You would have thought of that. You would have
Come
thought
on,
that. You would have thought that when they played Bodo
Wolves.
Glimt.
We'd have to say Wolves
You
would
know, and
would
Wolves,
go
and
under
Wolves,
there. You know what I mean?
Wolves
not
did
not
give us
not
a
sure
game,
what
right?
happened
But
there.
Wolves didn't, they didn't just roll over for us, right? So you never know in this league. That's the thing. You never know in
Yeah.
this league. Wolves could get relegated and still nick a point off City.
Wow.
It's possible.
I mean,
It's possible.
the league has gone to shit if Man City can't beat Wolves. But I'd be there for that. I'd love that. Um, then Aston Villa
Did
go
you?
away to Newcastle on the Sunday. So just before we play Manchester United, we'll know the result of the Newcastle Villa game. We'll know what
So,
we have
so
to do. You know what I mean?
I, I know we visited this last time, but
Mhm.
you really don't think the league's too balanced? You really don't have all these rivalries like you used to have.
Well, when you say it's balanced, you mean competitive, right? The league was competitive.
Is it competitive? Look at fourth to what, 15th, 14th? There are hardly any points in there.
Yeah, from fourth down, you got 36 points. Yeah, 36 points down to 12th place. There's 30 points. So there's 6 points across fourth place and 12th place. You know? But, again, we have separated ourselves away from Liverpool in fourth place. We're 14 points ahead of Liverpool, 7 points ahead of the second and third place team. So we are there on merit. United played well. Could have been 6-0 to United against Man City. Tiger and Gunner, and I'll ask this to Stan and Tony also. This could be a case that Man City were not great on the day, and Manchester United played really well with the bump of a new caretaker manager. So both things can be true. Man City didn't play well, and United did play well, which gives you the United win. What was it, 2-1? Or I can't remember the result. I think it was 2-1.
But that's also a derby, and the form goes out the window.
Well, that's the cliche, isn't it? Form goes out the window in a derby, and I can get behind that. But City didn't turn up against Man United, and in that situation, the longer the game goes on without City taking the lead, Stan prefaced Erling Haaland missing a couple of chances, and if on the day they can't take their chances and Haaland can't take their chances, then this was always likely to happen. You know, yeah, 2-0 it was. Tiger was 1-0 till probably the 70th minute, and then
Could have been more.
the second one. What?
Really could have been more as well.
Yeah,
Really could have been.
they had a couple of offside decisions that were close, right? Like obviously offside, but close enough that if they just held their run. As much as we don't like Bruno Fernandez, you have to recognize that he's a very good player and somebody who makes them tick. You know,
Man City for 9 years. It's a long time, right? And in that
yeah,
time, they've won a lot. But how many, he's probably running out, how many team talks have you got? When you get to the stage where they've heard it all before, sometimes you have to freshen things up, right? It happens.
One day, Mikel will run out of light bulbs.
That's why I thought he was gonna leave at the end of last year because his contact was up. I was surprised he ended up staying at City.
So, just looking ahead as we're touching on the games at the weekend,
Yeah.
and this goes out to everybody. In that central position along the front three, who would you start?
For our team.
Yeah, who would you start?
Ooh. You got to ride the Gabriel Jesus effect.
I like the idea of that. Starting with Gabriel Jesus, knowing that if Mourinho's not starting as well, you still have options, right? You can still make changes. But
Yep.
I do believe that players should be rewarded for good things.
Yep.
Because it makes you want to do more. If you're doing good things and you're not getting rewarded for it, you get to go, well, what's the point? Because it doesn't matter what I do, that geezer's going to start every time. You need to be rewarded. And
think about it. He's just come back. He's just come back from being injured for a year, and he has to have all this energy now that he wants to get out and play. And like a new signing,
he's basically got blue balls, isn't he? He needs to get a little bit out.
I was gonna say like a new signing, but you could say like a new signing.
I prefer blue balls.
Or a new sock.
On the set. Like a new signing on the set. That's what you could say, Stan.
A new sock, Ray.
What?
A new sock.
New sock. Indeed.
There's nothing more than I want Victor Gyökeres to turn it around. I've not been impressed with him this season.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough.
We've gone over all of that, right? I'm not going to go over all that again. The reasons why.
But
we've done that.
But
we've done
what
that.
about the goal he scored there?
You started this, Stan.
I've done that. I've done that to death, right? But I'm hoping that this could be a slow build for him to gradually build a platform on. He has competition. He's able to see what's required, and that can only help the guy. It can only help him.
But what did you think of his? What do you think of his goal with all the work that he had to do to still finish that thing?
It's a good goal.
Right goal.
I don't want to. I was going to say, there's still a few things. There's still a few things that I see that I think like first touch and etc. But he scored that goal. Good goal. Before that he got a goal and an assist. But now he's able to relax a little bit more. But it's just not all on him, right? It's just not all on him. There are players now that can come on. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, we're starting with Jesus, we're making a change. And when I saw the change, I'm like, Havertz is on the bench. He's not giving Havertz a go. Oh, I was like, oh, 10 men. We better not fuck this up. We better not fuck this up because it was still, 2-1. Still a bit precarious, right? He closes the game out, gives us that third goal. You've got to give the geezer a round of applause for that. And if he can continue to improve upon that, I'm happy about it. I don't want the guy to fail. I don't want any Arsenal player to fail. I don't want Shamak to fail. You sign for Arsenal and you get given the shirt. I want you to do as best as you can because it's good for the team.
What about Carl Jenkinson?
What about him? Where's that going?
Where is he now, Tony? Where is he now?
No telling. Probably assistant coach.
Where is Callum Chambers now?
But we have to remember as well. There was a reason why we brought in Havertz because Jesus wasn't, he wasn't consistent. There was injury problems, but there was a little bit of a lack of consistency. But we know that he's got a good goal in him. We know that. He can score goals, and if he can have an Indian summer for the rest of the season, fair play to him. You know, fair play. He's not going anywhere this window. You know, he's not going anywhere. I don't think he's going anywhere in the next 10 days. I don't see that happening. So, you know, I'm pretty sure that he wants to get a winner's medal, whether it be Champions League, Premier League, or both. You know, that's why they play the game. And why would anybody want to leave Arsenal right now? Why would any player not want to be at Arsenal right now? It's the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It really is the place to be. You know, and if you've already got that spot, you want to try to keep it. We're in such a good place at the moment. We really are, and our destiny is in our own hands right now. It really is, and it just seems that everything seems to be going our way. Even when we've had players out, we've had players that have come in, and they've done their bit, and we've not been panicking. We've not seen the join because a main player is not available. We were able to give Saka rest. We were able to give Declan Rice rest. Same with Gabriel. You know, we've got a great backup keeper as well. You know, it's a good time for us. It really is a good time for us at the moment.
I would say you never want to take anything for granted, right? But a 7-point lead with 22 games played in the Premier League. There's 16 games left. We're on 50 points, right? So we're about 12, let's say about 12 wins away. 12 out of the 16 games. If we win 12 out of those, we'd be in a really good position. Like that would be 86 points by itself.
And the key thing is as well, everyone's always says, "Oh, you know what happens when it gets to January." You know, Manchester City, they seem to pick up a second wind. It's not happening this season so far. It's not happening.
No. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bodø Glimt, come on. You know, come on.
I love it.
You know, it's not like they lost. They lost badly, I thought, to Bodø Glimt. They really, you know, their main man wasn't able to get on the score sheet again. It's good, and you know, I think that there's a wheel in football, and the wheel turns. And I think that at the moment, the wheel has turned to Arsenal's favour. We've not had any stupid, you know, referees' decisions that have really spoilt it for us like we have in the past. We've got a bigger squad. Players are more comfortable. We're able to go away in Europe to big stadiums, and we're not overawed by that. And I think that I'm so glad that we've stuck with Mikel Arteta because this is his team now.
Yep.
This is his team. The team want to play for him. Players have contracts that come up. They don't want to run away. They don't agitate for moves. They're happy to resign. You have players like Saliba saying, I don't want to finish with no change in my pocket, with empty pockets. They want to win this. There is a big desire for it.
There's a determination in the squad that we can feel that, right? There's a determination.
And I think there should be an amnesty, no matter what your thoughts have been about the manager. We're now at a time now where it's like you've got to put that to one side. You've got to think of the bigger picture. There's got to be like an amnesty. It's time to hand in your rifle. Go down to your nearest police station, hand in your rifle. There'll be no charges. You just got to fill out some paperwork. You'll be allowed to leave. You won't be arrested. And we really need to get behind the team. Yeah, we can come onto podcasts. This is what we do, and we're gonna look at certain performances and pick things out. But overall, we are in a good place. And if we are going to pick a few things out, something that I wanted to bring up as well is the captain, is Martin Odegaard. You know, because I was a big Martin Odegaard fan when we signed him. I'm still an Odegaard fan, but over the last season and during this season, I don't think that we've been getting the best out of him for one reason or another. And we've started to see now more and more this season, the manager feels safe to take him off. In the past, even if he was in the bed, he would see out the whole game. Because Mikel Arteta didn't trust that there was anyone that could come in, or he could move things around with his in-game management to get something out of it. And You know, I'm happy to see that, but you know, Martin Odegaard back to his best because there is a very good player in there, I believe, Martin Odegaard. But for whatever reason, in the last season, and I would say he's had some moments this season. He's had some moments, but consistency-wise, and you know, he is the captain of the club. You know, sometimes I'm watching it, I'm a bit like, oh, you know, it's not really happening for him in a lot of the games. And, that is something that I want to see improve. You know,
I think a lot of that boils down to what he's asked to do, asked to play so much defense, asked to press. He's an attacking midfielder. We've seen that he can get the goals and assists. He did it 3 years ago.
I agree, Tony.
I think he could do it. I think he could do it now if he went back to that system. But I just don't think the system fits him. So that's why you don't see.
I don't know if it's
Odegaard you want to see.
I don't know if it's the system not fitting him, but I'm not sure if our system has a place at the moment for that particular role as a 10, an attacking midfielder as such. You know, the number 10 role seems to has taken a bit of a back seat tactically. It seems to all be about left eights and right eights. You know? So I don't know. You know, I'm no tactician. I'm no coach, but you don't seem to have the freedom to just be someone that can just be wandering around in a certain area of the pitch and just waiting to get the ball and do magic. You've got to put the work in, and I think it's the same for Eze. It's exactly the same for Eze. You know, Eze is no longer a 10. He's a left or right 8, and there is a difference in what's expected from you, and it's just a stylistic thing. But it does worry me a little bit with Martin Odegaard not being able to, you know, we saw a season where he scored 15 goals and had 7 assists. You know, and that's not, for whatever reason, that hasn't been replicated, you know, since that season. And
someone say, someone say the accommodating Havertz in the midfield. Some will say that was the reason. The next season, you know, injury, and they did have a newborn kid, which apparently kept him awake at night last season. So,
and I also think that with our system, when you look at our front three, they're still trying to find the right combination. I definitely think that a front three of Martinelli, Gyökeres, and Madueke is not a front three together that I really want to see, because I think all of those players, all three of those players, they've all got their qualities, but all playing at the same time. None of those players look after the ball enough for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that you can afford to have all three of them playing at the same time.
Yeah, but you have Gyökeres where our Arsenal can lead a lot more goals when he's off the pitch than when he's on the pitch.
Yeah, but I think that's just like saying, oh, Trossard's only good if you bring him off the bench. Remember, there was that for ages. He's not good to start. He's only good to us if he can come off the bench. Well, that turned out to be a myth because he's starting games and he's making a contribution.
He was starting games when those guys were saying that. Like I said, he led us that season. 10 starts, 7 goals. I mean, I don't know what else you want from a guy.
Yeah, but it's not like that. It's not like that. He can't start games though. There was. I even caught myself saying it. You know, I even caught myself saying, "Oh, I'm not sure if he can start games," but he can. I just feel that with a front three of Madueke, Gyökeres, and Martinelli all at the same time, I don't think there's enough security with the ball. As much as I like them for different things, we're missing some security there, and I think that if I'm looking at the weakness of this Arsenal team, as much as we're top of the league, in the UK and in Europe, and have a couple of toes into a final maybe in the Carabao Cup. If we are going to look at tweaking and looking at things that we can improve, I still think there's improvement in the front three that can be made. And it wouldn't surprise me that when we get to the summer, one of Martinelli or Trossard, I'm not sure if they start next season.
Yeah.
I think a change will be made. As Alonso's in the house, the horror is the
Oh,
quote in the quote in Apocalypse Now. But I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise. As good as I like both of those players, I still think that maybe that's an area that you may see something happen, rather than just resting on our laurels and saying, "Oh yeah, we don't need to do anything there." You know, it'll be a shame because I like both of those players. But as I've always said, I don't care who Arsenal sells. I don't care. I don't cover any players anymore. I've grown out of that. But if you're going to sell someone, what comes in needs to be an improvement, and then I can live
yeah.
with it. I can live with
Upgrade.
it. I can sleep at night.
Steven said you're right, Stan. He got all those goals, and next season Arteta ball was then introduced. Next season, all our players struggled scoring, including Bukayo Saka.
And I will say, just touching on Saka, right? In that game against Inter Milan, I thought he was unplayable. I'm glad that Jesus got the man of the match and the recognition for the 2 goals, but I thought
Yeah,
Saka was excellent, excellent, unplayable.
yeah, great. Listen, a great win in Europe, and we'll round out the podcast asking if we can go on and lift the Holy Grail this year.
I'll be right
But
back. I just got to check on that crock pot in the kitchen.
yeah, do that hot pot.
Which one's the Holy Grail, right?
Do the hot pot, or
Champion?
you'll be in the doghouse. Dan,
Eh,
the
eh,
Holy Grail,
eh,
Tony, is the Champions League. Old big ears. But you
eh,
could also say after 22 years, the Premier League is the Holy Grail also. You know, return to the summit of the Premier League once again. When Man City came along and Chelsea and now Newcastle coming into it as the richest clubs in the Premier League, you would have been fair to ask yourself as an Arsenal fan if we would ever win the Premier League again, you know, with those
but
play
but
teams there.
but now since it's a proper league, isn't it easier for the bigger clubs, right?
Say it, give that to me one more time. Is it easier for the bigger clubs to do what?
To do good in the Champions League because you're playing lesser competition. You're playing a two extra games.
Yeah.
It's based on a table. It's actually a league.
Yep.
It's not this. Oh, okay. Let's put. I mean, we've put some terrible players out there
Yeah.
in
Listen.
the group stages when
Well,
when
when we
Wenger was
started,
there. It's amazing how bad some of those teams were,
yeah.
and they were
Oh
still
yeah.
able to beat those crappy teams that you play at this stage.
Do you remember? You remember not so long ago though, like we were in the Europa
And
League,
and,
struggling,
and now
struggling.
and now you get a breather, Ray.
Yeah. And we were struggling. We've overhauled our squad. As Stan said, take that mentality of you only bring a player in who can improve your squad. And so we've done that window after window after how many windows has it been for Mikel Arteta? 10, 12 windows. And you do something good in all of those windows. You bring in Trossard 2, 3 seasons ago, and he's been probably our best player over those 3 seasons that he's
But
come.
but but could you win the league and Champions League this year if Berta didn't do all the work that he did? I, I think we would be in the same problem because we wouldn't have the depth to play in all these competitions. The fatigue would kick in.
Fatigue.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Mm.
you future proof against injury and fatigue with the squad that you've built. It's up to Mikel Arteta now, as I think Stan might jump in and say as well. It's up to Mikel Arteta now to pick the right teams, keep the players fresh, and each and every competition just is going to demand you to go to the next step, right? So, Premier League, there's 16 more games in the Premier League. Um, FA Cup, three or four more rounds to get into the latter stages. Carabao Cup, just give yourself that. You got two toes in the sand. You got to put your full foot in the sand to get into a Carabao Cup final, and then anything can happen against probably City. And then the great adventure stand, knockout competition, Champions League with that music, and those nights, those great nights of European football.
Do you remember one of my biggest complaints throughout the podcasting last season? One of my biggest complaints were, where are the players that are scoring braces, let alone a hat trick? Remember that?
Yeah,
You know, you get a player will score a goal, and then the next game, nothing, and then maybe. Well, I'll say, where are the braces? Where are the hat
yeah,
tricks? This
yeah.
season, we've had two hat tricks,
More than
Martinelli
one, right?
and Eze, and we've had quite a lot of braces as well.
Yeah,
That's an improvement.
yeah,
That's an
yeah.
improvement.
It became. I remember that last season. Now that you say it, it became like, where are the braces? It's like, where's the meat in the hamburger? You know?
Exactly. Even
Kind of like
Gabriel has had a brace in games, right?
Yeah, yeah,
it's kind of like where the wins were. Why are we having all these draws?
yeah. Exactly. So listen, Champions League, we're getting very close to where we're going to be looking at brackets pretty soon. I don't know the exact date when we'll see who we're going to get matched up against. Next game we have in the Champions League is Kairat in Kazakhstan or something. They're coming to the Emirates, and it's a game that Stan and probably the squad wants to win as well. We should want to win those games
Like
as well.
Kazakhstan, buddy Yori.
Yeah. System doesn't suit any of our front players and hasn't for 2.5 years. Let's catch up past the horror, the horror. Hello, all. You're right, Stan. You got all those. Yeah, we said that one already, right? Second. What time are you starting your podcast? Right, it's now just gone midday over here. Australia, Perth. Um, we've been going for about just over 2 hours now, and we'll be wrapping up pretty soon. Um, so if it's midday over here now, we're probably what 10 hours behind Australia. The problem is that any player that comes in will suffer the same problems that Trossard and Martinelli are facing, being forced to play against the touchline too far away from goal to score. Well, then you have to find the right kind of player
Yeah,
that
but the
can
reason
fit.
the reason for that is on that left side. When Calafiore is playing, he comes into the midfield and takes up certain amount of space. So you need to have that security. You need to have someone who's going to stay out wide to allow for that, and it seems to be working. You
Yeah.
know,
Tiger and Goodness picked Trossard for a shirt name and has not failed you. Uh, I do like the Trossard celebration as well. Like to see the goggles. Rice should have had a hat trick. So regular
so
time means
you call it goggles. I call it binoculars.
what? But no, is it like flying? They're like flying goggles, right?
Is it okay for me? It was binoculars. I always thought of it more binoculars.
I don't know. I'd have to look into that now. I could be wrong, or you could be wrong. So yeah, regular time, Tiger.
It's not just flying goggles, right? They warm and driving just a
Well,
normal car around in the 1920s. It's cool. They all had those leather hats on
yeah,
and the
yeah.
goggles. And
The 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 plane, the pioneers, those flying pioneers. All right, Stan, we'll get you out of here pretty soon. Hot pot is looking good, right?
It is.
how
I will
much
say,
longer do you have to babysit it?
The missus has taken over now, so
all right,
we're
he'll,
just
he'll be,
we're just finishing up there now. So
be serving up soon.
it's
So
going
we
to be
should get out of here in 5 minutes. Okay.
hot on a film
Uh,
for the rest of the evening.
yeah.
She's back there fiercely doctoring Stan's mistakes.
I will just say, um, you know, there is due to be a storm here on the East Coast. We're going to get a lot of snow here. Um,
Well, what about us, Ray?
what
Fuck
what have you
you.
got?
Well,
What are you getting?
Here would I get a foot of snow, then that'd be like a high of like 7 degrees Monday,
Yeah.
then like Oklahoma City to the Texas border, it's somewhere between
So
a
the
half
system,
inch of ice and one
I
and a
think the
half inches of
system,
ice plus four inches of sleet. What it is, right? They when they started calculating all this stuff with the ice cap melts,
yeah.
they didn't account for having these big storms in the Arctic. And that's where this storm started, was way up there in Russia. Probably some of it not actually Russia because it was so far
And now it's kind of
north.
now it's around California kind of way right now. So you may
Yeah,
get it on Saturday, the majority of it,
yeah.
and we'll get
It's a
the
start.
majority of it.
It's a start in the morning, and Saturday is most
In
of
in
the
any
snow.
case, the reason for me saying that is that I do hope to have a podcast at two p.m. Eastern. I know some of you can't make it here, but I'll try to go live after the game, the Man United game, just to as an announcement because I have not been periodically doing that on this Sunday, but I will do it on this Sunday, weather permitting and power permitting, and all that good stuff. All right, so we got hot pot on our minds. We'll get Stan out of here pretty soon. But Stan, can we win the Champions League? Big
yeah,
question.
yeah, of course we can. I don't know if we will, but we can.
Yeah, can
We're,
we
we're,
get to a semi-final at least?
at the moment, we're the best team in Europe. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
At this moment in time, right?
I like that. I like that optimism. You know, Tony, Tony, you and I have talked about Champions League for a few years now. Here we are in the knockout stages again.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
Fuck Thursdays was my.
um,
It was torture watching those games on
yeah,
Thursday. It really
Europa
was.
League. Can we win the
I,
Champions League, Tony?
I said I thought we could win it last year, and we went that far away. We've
Yeah.
improved the squad.
You
So,
look back,
I mean,
look back against.
Madrid struggling, PSG struggling, City. You seen who they lost to? So, I mean,
Cheers, Gary. Cheers, guys.
anything can happen, but I mean, there is no reason we shouldn't win it.
Yeah, 40 degrees yesterday in Australia. And listen, when I think back to that PSG game, um, we had chances in the first and second game. We had opportunities to score goals, and it was still a close, competitive game. They didn't tear us open. We were still in that tie with 20 or 30 minutes to go in the second game. So I think we're a much better team. We can be more prolific going forward, and yeah, I think we got every chance to progress and win the whole lot. As we rightly say, we're the best team in Europe right now, and it's late January, so just let's just keep the progress going.
Maybe more than Europe.
Maybe more than Europe, maybe in the world.
And ever
Right.
since we've been back in the Champions League with Mikel Arteta, every season he's taken us on further than he did in the previous season in that competition.
Yeah.
So hopefully that trend continues, and it would be great to see us
Get
get
to a
to a final.
final. Get to a final and maybe win the whole thing. Listen,
Did Stan? I don't think Stan was here when I asked this, but do you think it's easier with this new format? Because you got the
I
league.
like it. I'm used to it now. I like it.
8 league plays, and it's funny. Everybody seems to like this, but they were so against the Super League. But this is basically what they proposed. But you got eight
Yeah.
eight
Well, it's
league phase games instead of 10 league phase
well, it's the
Funny.
games.
best of both worlds, isn't it? It's not one or the other. It's like playing in two leagues now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Definitely.
mind this new format. You know, there's lots of interesting games along the way now, right? It keeps it more interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
Seems to suit us. So
Yeah. All right. We'll leave it there. Stan's got a hot pot to get stuck into.
Uh,
Tony's gonna
uh,
eat something.
I like how we don't have to worry about the home and away goals and all
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Listen, Stan, Tony, thanks for being here. Thanks everybody who's watching live with us.
pleasure as always, mate. Pleasure as
You're
always.
all top blokes here, and maybe we'll see you on Sunday. Drop in the chat, whatever you can do. I know Stan, it's difficult for you on Sundays. Tony might be able to drag Tony onto stream with me on Sunday, but until then, let's keep it going, Arsenal. Right? Let's get a win for my birthday against Manchester United.